Have you ever received a letter stamped with bold black letters, court summons enclosed, and in that moment thought to yourself, if I just ignore it, maybe it'll go away? But what really happens if you ignore a court summons? Let me tell you a true story, one that turned an ordinary man into a criminal. Not because of what he did, but because of what he didn't do. What if I told you a simple envelope, one you might toss aside without reading, could change your entire life? Imagine this. You're coming home after a long day, sipping your favorite coffee, and there's a letter taped to your door. It reads, "Court summons. You are required to appear in court." Now pause. What do you do? Do you panic? Do you open it immediately? Or do you tell yourself it's probably a mistake and throw it into a drawer to forget? Because one man did exactly that. And what followed was something he never saw coming. This is the story of Assad Malik, a 34-year-old freelance graphic designer from Chicago. He had no criminal record, no known enemies, and he didn't even own a car. One day he found a white envelope stuck to his door. It was official, sealed, marked urgent. Inside was a notice. He was being summoned to appear in court regarding a hit-and-run incident on March 12th, a date that didn't even ring a bell. Assad was confused. This has to be a mistake, he thought. I wasn't even in town that day. But instead of calling the court or consulting a lawyer, he took the envelope, slid it into his desk drawer, and convinced himself it would just go away. But it didn't. Let's get one thing straight. A court summons is not a suggestion. It is a direct legal command. Whether it's civil or criminal, local or federal, it's a document that requires your attention and your action. When you ignore it, you are not just avoiding a minor inconvenience, you are opening the door to serious legal consequences. And the law? It doesn't play games. You can be held in contempt of court, you can be fined, arrested, your driver's license can be suspended, a bench warrant can be issued, and if that happens, your next run-in with the police, whether for a broken taillight or a random ID check, can turn into handcuffs, courtrooms, and jail time. That's exactly what happened to Assad. Just 4 weeks after ignoring that letter, he was driving home from a client meeting when police sirens wailed behind him. Red and blue lights flashed in the rearview mirror. He calmly pulled over, confident he had done nothing wrong. But after running his ID, the officer returned to the car window and said 6 words that made Assad's heart stop. "There's a warrant for your arrest." It was like the air was sucked out of his lungs. He stammered, "There must be a mistake." The officer didn't flinch. "Step out of the vehicle, sir." Assad was arrested, in public, in broad daylight, in front of people who knew him. He spent 2 nights in jail. He missed work deadlines. His clients started dropping him. Friends asked questions he couldn't answer. He was embarrassed, confused, and angry, all because he ignored one letter. When he finally appeared in court, the judge looked over the case, reviewed surveillance footage, and confirmed something shocking. Assad was not even in the city on the date of the incident. It was a case of mistaken identity. His license plate was 1 digit off from the real suspects. If he had just appeared in court, he could have cleared it up immediately. Instead, he became a criminal in the eyes of the law, not because he committed a crime, but because he didn't respond. This isn't an isolated story. In fact, thousands of people across the U.S. each year face serious consequences simply because they ignore court summonses. Let me give you a real example. Lisa Torres, a mother from New York, received a summons from family court in 2020 regarding a custody hearing for her daughter. She assumed her lawyer had already taken care of everything and decided not to attend. But when she failed to show up, the judge considered it abandonment and issued a default ruling. Her child was placed in temporary foster care. By the time Lisa realized what had happened, it took her 6 months of legal battles just to restore custody of her daughter. Again, not because she was a bad parent, but because she didn't show up. Now you might be thinking, what if I have a good reason not to go? That's understandable. Life happens, emergencies come up. But even then, you must respond. You can request a postponement. You can write to the court. You can have your attorney file a motion. But the worst thing you can do? Nothing. Because silence doesn't buy you time. It buys you trouble. Let's break down what steps you should take if you ever receive a court summons.
1. Don't panic. Read the document carefully. Look for the date, time, and type of case. 2. Don't ignore it. Ignorance is not a legal defense. Courts do not care if you claim you didn't know or forgot. 3. Contact a lawyer. Even if it's something minor like a civil complaint or traffic matter, getting legal advice is crucial. 4. Respond in writing if required. Some summonses demand that you file an official reply by a certain deadline. 5. Show up to court, even if you think the case is baseless. Even if you're nervous, your presence shows respect for the law and gives you a voice. 6. Keep all documents. Save copies of everything. Summons, replies, receipts, even emails with your attorney. Now let's return to Assad. He was lucky. He had digital proof of his location, security camera footage, receipts, GPS logs that eventually proved he was 200 miles away from the scene. The charges were dropped, but he still lost months of work. His name was in a police database. His peace of mind was shattered, and all of it could have been avoided with a single court appearance.